Stop pretending your words matter when they don't. How often do you launch into conversation with a dull ritual of, "Hi, how are you?" Thousands of times you've spoken it. Thousands of times you've heard it. And yet, nothing changes. No spark. No intrigue. No lasting impression. The truth? Polite routines are lethal to presence. They anesthetize connection. If you want people to notice you, to remember you, to lean in when you speak, you must abandon the trivial and step into a rare space. The space of authentic engagement. Presence isn't loud. It's deliberate, grounded, and rooted in understanding how the human mind craves recognition and emotional safety. Here's the first principle. Presence begins with recognition. The mind of another person hungers to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, not superficially, but deeply. Psychology confirms it. When someone feels genuinely recognized, their amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers fear and defensiveness, relaxes, and reasoning centers engage. Stoics called this sympatheia, the practice of tuning into another's inner world without judgment. When you offer genuine recognition, you do more than speak. You create calm. You create trust. And trust is magnetic. This is your first edge over the distracted masses who babble and compete for attention. The second principle: listen to understand, not to respond. Most people listen just enough to plan their next sentence. That is not conversation. That is ego. True discipline, the kind the Stoics revered, comes from restraint. Quiet your impulses, suppress the urge to correct or impress, and focus entirely on the other person's reality. Modern neuroscience proves this. When you listen fully, without distraction, you activate the other person's reward pathways. They feel seen, valued, and safe. This is not optional. This is strategy. Presence is not about volume or charm. It's about making someone feel their mind matters. Their words matter. Third principle: validate before you debate. Humans crave acknowledgement. Even the most confident, the most stoic, need confirmation that their perspective has weight. A simple, deliberate "you're right" disarms defensiveness. It signals intelligence, not weakness. The Stoics understood this. Seneca taught that wisdom lies in recognizing truth wherever it appears, not in defending ego. Psychology confirms it. Confirmation reduces conflict, opens doors, and creates unconscious attraction. Timing is crucial. Say it only when it resonates. Overused, it becomes empty. Mastered, it becomes a lever that shifts tension into connection. This is not flattery. It is disciplined influence. Fourth principle: mirror thought. Don't mimic words. People want to feel that their reasoning is respected. When you respond with "that makes sense" or "I can see your logic," you aren't agreeing blindly. You are signaling that their effort to articulate reality landed. Social psychology calls this shared reality. Neuroscience calls it reward circuitry activation. Stoicism calls it empathy in action. This simple act transforms friction into partnership. It tells the other person, "I see you. Your mind matters. I am present here with you." Precision matters, grounded in specifics. Vague acknowledgement won't cut it. Detail is the difference between routine and influence. Fifth principle: presence is reinforced through restraint. Speak less, pause more, and let your silence carry weight. The world is addicted to noise, but wisdom thrives in control. Zeno taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." Silence is not absence, it is power. When you pause after acknowledging someone, your words gain authority. When you resist the urge to fill every gap, you communicate confidence, patience, and clarity. People unconsciously attach to those who hold space without domination. Presence is never rushed. It is deliberate, disciplined, and unyielding. Sixth principle: shift the energy of conversation intentionally. Routine greetings are dead weight. "Hi, how are you?" accomplishes nothing. Instead, provoke thought, invite engagement, ignite curiosity, ask, "Tell me something good." Watch as people pause, think, and share something meaningful. This is not small talk, it is activation. Neuroscience shows that novelty triggers dopamine and attention. Stoicism shows that intentional action shapes perception. You are no longer a passive participant, you are a catalyst. Conversations become tests of discipline. Will you stay dull, or will you seize presence and command connection? Seventh principle: understanding is your ultimate leverage. To say "I understand you" is to hand someone one of the rarest gifts. The feeling of being fully seen. Modern psychology shows that when people feel understood, stress levels drop, and reasoning improves. Stoics view this as mastery over ego. Epictetus warned against rushing speech. First comprehend, then respond. In practice, this means using understanding in moments of tension, fear, or frustration. Look someone in the eye. Speak deliberately. I understand you. Pause. Let the weight of those words settle. You are no longer just talking, you are creating calm, establishing presence, and inviting trust. Eighth principle. The power of specificity cannot be overstated. Saying that makes sense in general is weak. Ground it in detail. That makes sense because I can see how you reach that conclusion. Specific acknowledgement mirrors thought, not just words. Social psychology proves this triggers shared reality and strengthens relational bonds. Neuroscience confirms reward pathways light up when someone feels mentally mirrored. Stoics would call this disciplined empathy, controlling your impulses to correct, dominate, or impose, and instead meeting the other person's mind where it stands. Precision transforms routine into magnetic presence. Ninth principle. Validation is strategic, not submissive. When you say you're right at the right moment, you do not surrender authority, you gain influence. Confirmation reduces defensiveness, opens the mind, and creates unconscious attraction. Psychologists link this to confirmation bias. We favor those who acknowledge our truth. The Stoics called this strength over ego. Seneca reminded us that the wise embrace truth, regardless of source. In practice, well-timed acknowledgement is magnetic. It signals maturity, humility, and presence. People lean in when they no longer need to defend themselves. This is power disguised as empathy. 10th principle. Listening is your most underrated weapon. To say I'm listening is more than words. It is a presence that demands attention. In a world saturated with noise, genuine listening is rare and therefore valuable. Studies show that most people retain barely 25% of what they hear. When you listen fully, without judgment or distraction, you fulfill the deep human need to be noticed. The brain responds with reward activation, as if receiving a gift. Stoics understood this instinctively. The wise speak less but absorb more. Listening transforms interactions from shallow exchanges into moments of magnetic connection. 11th principle. Silence is your ally, not your enemy. Do not rush to fill every pause. The space between words is where presence breathes. When you let moments stretch, your words gain gravity. Stoics valued restraint above flamboyance. Control over speech reflects control over self. Modern psychology confirms that people feel drawn to those who communicate with intentional silence. It signals confidence, patience, and emotional mastery. In attraction and influence, the pauses you allow are as powerful as the words you speak. Silence gives others room to feel understood and safe. And in that safety, they naturally gravitate toward you. 12th principle. Emotional relief is addictive. People unconsciously seek those who reduce chaos in their minds. When you offer understanding, validation, and genuine listening, you provide a refuge from internal turmoil. Psychology calls this affect labeling. Naming and acknowledging feelings lowers the amygdala's alarm response and activates rational thought. Stoicism calls this the practice of compassion without attachment. When someone experiences relief in your presence, they return again and again. Influence is not coercion. It is the quiet, magnetic force of being the person who makes others feel safe, understood, and unthreatened. 13th principle. Presence transforms conflict into collaboration. By acknowledging, mirroring, and validating another's thoughts, you shift energy from opposition to partnership. What could have escalated into argument becomes dialogue. Social psychology shows that when people feel seen and understood, cooperation increases and tension decreases. The Stoics framed this as mastery over impulse. Control your ego, suspend the urge to dominate, and act from reason. In practice, this means using your words deliberately to disarm, not to conquer. Presence is not passive, it is strategic, disciplined, and irresistibly magnetic. 14th principle. Curiosity fuels connection. Ask questions that invite thought, reflection, and emotion. Forget hollow small talk. Say, tell me something good, or what's really happening for you. These prompts disrupt autopilot and activate engagement. Neuroscience confirms that novelty triggers attention and dopamine release. While Stoicism teaches intentional action shapes perception, you are no longer just participating. You are directing energy, guiding conversation toward depth. Curiosity is discipline in action, controlled, purposeful and compelling. It signals that you value the other person's mind and experience, and that presence is never accidental. 15th principle, clarity over cleverness. People are addicted to cleverness and performative charm, but true influence comes from clarity. The Stoics valued truth above adornment. Epictetus warned, "Speak only what you understand." Modern psychology agrees. Clarity reduces cognitive friction, builds trust, and enhances emotional resonance. When you communicate with precision, using words like understand, sense, right, and listen, you create a framework where others feel safe to open up. Complexity impresses only briefly. Clarity sustains influence, attention, and attachment. Presence is not about impressing. It is about being unmistakably real. 16th principle, empathy without attachment amplifies presence. You must feel for others without losing yourself in their emotional turbulence. The Stoics taught that we cannot control external events, only our response. Psychology reinforces this. Emotional boundaries prevent burnout and preserve influence. When you engage with understanding and validation while maintaining composure, you become magnetic. People unconsciously lean toward those who remain grounded amid chaos. Presence is not emotional surrender. It is disciplined resonance. You show care without neediness, strength without rigidity, and attention without expectation. This is the balance that draws people in. 17th principle, discipline shapes attraction. The most magnetic people are not flashy or loud. They are disciplined. They choose their words, tone, and timing with precision. Stoics revered self-mastery because it allowed intentional action, not reactive noise. Neuroscience confirms that consistent, deliberate behavior signals reliability and safety. By controlling your impulses, pausing before speaking, and choosing when to validate, mirror, or listen, you create a magnetic field of calm authority. Presence becomes a force that draws others in naturally. They sense you are steady, deliberate, and worthy of attention. Discipline is your invisible advantage. 18th principle, magnetism comes from the combination of presence and emotional relief. When people experience calm, understanding, and validation from you, their brains release dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals tied to trust, attachment, and pleasure. This is not manipulation. It is human nature responding to genuine engagement. The Stoics called this virtue in action, influencing through reason, empathy, and clarity rather than coercion. Your presence becomes unforgettable because you satisfy primal needs without surrendering your discipline. People don't just notice you, they remember, they seek your company, and they unconsciously associate you with calm, safety, and authenticity. 19th and 20th principles together. Transform every conversation into a test of presence. Replace empty greetings with intentional prompts. Tell me something good. Embed the 4 words, understand, sense, right? Listen into every exchange. Speak with clarity. Pause with purpose. Validate without surrender. And listen without distraction. The Stoics taught that mastery of self is the foundation of influence. Modern psychology shows that attention, recognition, and novelty are irresistible to the human mind. You are no longer a passive participant in life or conversation. You are deliberate, magnetic, disciplined, and unforgettable. Presence is not optional. It is the uncompromising standard of mastery. If this video gave you insight into transforming your conversations and presence, leave a comment below, share your thoughts, experiences, or the moments where these principles made a difference in your life. Don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you. Subscribe to the channel for more Stoic-inspired psychology insights. And turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson that can change the way you connect with the world.